Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. These hands are evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have Ticci-Toby. So we've left Jeffuary.
Have we really?
We kind of have. However, during Jeffuary, we encountered a character that has been in the creepypasta fandom for quite a while, and we've never really touched on it. Ticci-Toby, who is sort of like another killer / like proxy character, or a proxy to the Slender Man and stuff like that kind of character, and is also kind of like Jeff in that Ticci-Toby has tons of fan art that has been done of him.
Hence why I said, have we really left January?
Yeah. So this is sort of a soft walkout of the Jeffuary series, of our Jeffuary event.
It's the encore that no one asked for.
Yes. So Ticci-Toby is by Kastoway, Kastoway, and you can check it out on creepypasta.com, or you can check out Kastoway's Deviantart account, and I'll leave the link in the description below, where you can find it. Also, should be noted, Kastoway, I believe, is also responsible for a lot of the fan art as well of Ticci-Toby. Like, they drew and wrote the story, or they drew the character, but also has written the story. So
that's cool.
Yeah. But before we get too far ahead, recommendations or initial recommendations. I'm actually going to recommend it with some things aside on the side. But yeah, I won't. It's not just a partial recommendation. I will actually recommend this story.
I'm going to 100% recommend Ticci-Toby, the cursed talking tiki totem.
God damn it!
Okay then.
Wow. What about this Ticci-Toby?
Wait. We're doing Tiki. There's a different one? Hold on. Let me get my notes here.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Mikey, I gave you an email.
So we're going to reconvene here in 2 hours, right?
I recommend Ticci-Toby.
Sorry, you what?
Partially recommend.
Okay. All right. And Gamer, what's your initial recommendation?
I also partially recommend.
Okay.
Although on the high scale of it.
Cool. All right. Then let's dive into the rundown and find out why we gave those initial recommendations through our discussion today. So, Toby Rogers has had a bad time of it, specifically lately. He suffers from a rare nerve issue that renders him numb to feeling pain. He also has Tourette's syndrome, which children have bullied him about, dubbing him Ticci-Toby and forcing him to be homeschooled. His dad is an abusive drunk, and now, more recently, as a result of a car crash, he has lost his sister and was partially injured during the events. Now returning home after some time at the hospital, his mom driving him home and doing her best, given the circumstances. Home life doesn't improve whatsoever, as Toby's dad is just as seemingly uncaring about the situation. Seriously, didn't even go to the hospital to see his daughter before she passed. And then that night, like that first night home, Slender Man decides to pay Toby a visit. Standing under a light post that can be seen from Toby's window and mentally attacking him as Toby looks out the window and sees him.
Slender Man's a dick.
Yeah. There's a lot of dicks in this story. Well, okay, there's 2 dicks in this story, really. Slender Man begins affecting Toby over a few days or weeks, and eventually it comes to a head when Toby suffers a horrible nightmare involving the Slender Man and his dead sister. Waking up from this, he goes downstairs to see his dad is having a smoke and is pushed into attacking and killing his dad with a knife. His mom arrives on the scene after the kill, and Toby flees with 2 hatchets, new and old, and gasoline as police show up on their street. Toby uses the gas and some matches to start a fire to escape, but is taken by Slender Man. Weeks later, Mrs. Rogers, Toby's mom, is with her sister now, having lost her whole immediate family and just dealing with the situation. And while sitting there with coffee, on the news, it is reported that 4 kids were killed in the woods the night before, and that the weapon was an old hatchet. And the police believe the suspect to be none other than Toby Rogers. Finn. So yeah, man, the Rogers family just couldn't catch a break.
Yeah, pretty shitty time for them.
Yeah, but we shall move on to everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions at this point. I've got a couple, not nearly as much as last episode. Don't worry.
Okay.
It doesn't completely overtake my entire like note taking like last time. So I'm gonna start with this one here. The right side of his face bared a few cuts along with a split eyebrow. So this might be a nitpick, but I feel it should be the right side of his face bore a few cuts along blah 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 blah.
Pose?
Yeah. Next one here. And when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breaths, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad. Hang on, what did I'm trying to wait. Uh-oh.
It wasn't the front end, was it?
No, there was no front end.
Yes, there is.
What?
Which story did you read again?
Uh-oh. Hang on, I got
So reconvene in 2 hours?
No. It's because my comment is I feel like it could be while rather than when. Oh, okay. That's okay. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, it is, and when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breath, yada yada blah. I feel at the beginning, first off, yeah, get rid of that front end. And maybe replace when with while. Like while he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breath, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad.
Yeah.
That's yeah. We got there.
We did it.
But moving on. Toby looked over at her slightly and then down. Oh, Toby looked at her slightly and then down at his uneaten food while he still didn't touch her, which he still didn't touch. Then we cut to the next sentence. Toby laid in B. He pulled his covers over his head and stared at the window. So first off, Toby laid in bed, not laid in B, just missing a D there. But wait, what? That's quite an abrupt segue or scene change. Like, 1 minute he's looking down at his food, and then the next he's in bed.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be at least
completely different.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like this actually, like, I'd be okay with this if it had like a horizontal line or some kind of like line break that like showed us that there was like time passed between the two sentences. Show that it was like a different scene. We've had a scene change, but as it is right now, it was kind of wonky. Like I was suddenly like just got whiplash.
Yep, I'm with you.
Cool. Next one here. He would have been screaming and crying if he didn't press his pillow over his head. What? Did we get old Cockney? Seriously though, it's just missing an H so that it says if he didn't press his pillow over his face.
Wait, which one's that?
So it's when
the E.
Yeah, there's just an E there, like after like so it's like he would have been screaming and crying if E didn't press his pillow over his face. Unless it's one of the E stands for evil family, like a demon has like come like showed up into his bed and just tried to smother him with his own pillow. Mikey.
No comment.
A likely
That's the
story.
correct answer.
A likely response. Yeah. But yeah. And the next one here I have. He inhaled before he stood up and walked around his bed to the window and peered out, taking deep breaths, trying to calm down. So this one just needs the E removed from breathe. So it's breaths, like deep breaths. Next one. He wasn't tired at all. And when he consciously woke up, it felt like he had been lying there awake for hours. I feel like maybe it should have been though, not and. So like he wasn't tired at all, though when he consciously woke up, it felt like he had been lying there for awake for hours. And then similar to that, like a couple of like sentences down, we get this.
Well, hang
He,
on.
okay, like I
yeah,
had a thing
me-
here, but
Okay,
okay.
go ahead then. Go.
All right. He sat up slowly and stumbled over to the wall, but when he stood, he automatically felt dizzy. He automatically felt dizzy. So following up from my previous note, I feel like this should have changed the but to and as well. So like he sat up slowly and stumbled over to the wall, and when he stood, he automatically felt dizzy. So because to me it felt like when he was waking up, um, everything wasn't fine. Like he wasn't just like awake, but he was also like feeling like weird about it. So
Well, yeah, because he was already stumbling on the wall, so he was already not 100%.
yeah,
He just normally stumbles around when he wakes up. He's not a
Mhm.
morning person.
yeah. But when he wakes up, like, and then like I feel like it should be like, and when he stood, he automatically felt queasy, like not just the but when he stood up.
Yeah. And for me,
And
when I read
yeah.
those sentences, specifically the first one,
Yeah.
when it says like he wasn't tired at all, and when he just woke up, it felt like he was lying there for hours. That part was like weird.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really get what he was trying to say with like he woke up, but then when he consciously woke up, like it was a secondary wake up.
Well, I mean, that kind of happens. Like if you're not a morning person, like you physically wake up, but then like your mind is still combobulated and still kind of in sleep mode. So like you kind of have like a you need a couple of minutes or even an hour, get some coffee in you before you feel like right because you've been like discombobulated. So like I can see
But
like maybe that's what it is. Like he's just like
that's before he got out of bed.
that's
Like
true.
when
Yeah.
he consciously woke up is when he got out of bed.
Mhm.
So he woke up, laid there, feeling different, and then when he consciously woke up, it at that point it felt like he'd been laying there for hours.
Yeah, sort of like I wonder if it's almost like sleep paralysis. Oh no.
Oh,
Like
don't
because
go
like yeah, because and when he consciously woke up, it felt like he'd been awake for hours. So like, unless that's supposed to be like awake for hours, like he didn't get much sleep, or like he was just fully aware suddenly. Like as soon as he woke up, he was fully aware.
Hmm.
Or maybe it's literally meaning like he woke up and actually just laid in bed for hours. Like he did not want to get up for hours.
Yeah,
Hmm.
But if that's the case, it has to say it.
yeah. That's if that's what it means, then it should be rewritten to fix that.
Yeah, if it was like he wasn't tired at all, but he stayed in bed not wanting to get up. Felt like he was laying there for hours. We got out.
Yeah,
Something like that,
yeah.
Just
I could go with
remove
it.
this whole secondary wake up situation. Just say it felt different, tired at
Yeah,
all, but it felt like laying there awake for hours.
yeah.
Just remove the whole secondary wake up. Stick.
I do feel like sometimes in the story there are moments where like it's not like a full on like repetition, but it feels like it kind of repeats itself in an indirect way again.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't say the exact same words, but like the way it's like they're repeating themselves. Which, yeah, but I digress. I'll move on. So the next thing I have here. He was seeing everything he did, but I didn't register in his brain properly. What? I didn't register his brain? I think it's supposed to be though, but it didn't register in his brain properly.
Probably.
Yeah.
Unless he's like trying to like jack into his brain.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
He didn't fully register.
The reader has injected themselves into his brain.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work out very well. He got dump shocked.
Yep.
Sorry, Mikey.
It's a Shadowrun term. He probably knows that by now, though.
That's why I said sorry, Mikey, because like that can infer that it's probably Shadowrun.
I was just sure that you knew.
Yeah.
Mm.
Moving on to the next one. His father turned to him abruptly and pushed his chair over with his foot. "Don't touch me, boy," he yelled. So first off, the grammar thing here is it should be and pushed his chair over with his foot. Like the H is just like in the wrong location because it's like WHIT as it is written when it should be WITH.
Mm-hmm.
Also, seriously, what a dick. I honestly thought this might be some disarming niceness in the story to be pushed away when Toby, rightfully, apparently, stabs his dad, like at the dinner table. And I guess we do get a disarming like kind of moment here. It's just at how unexpectedly shitty his dad is to him for no reason. Like, just God, I hope this dad eats it by the end. And I have an update. He does. Yeah. So, but I'll move on to the next actual thought, or I'll move on to the next grammar inquisition. His mother stood up. "All right, know that off. That is the last time we need, or that's the last thing we need." This one I feel is just, it's a simple mistake. Typo is just like, it's supposed to be, "All right, knock it off," not know it off, or know that off.
Yes. I feel like the story may have been like typed through phone with autocorrect.
Yeah.
Because that's far enough off that they couldn't have meant to say that, but it's close enough that autocorrect could be like, "You mean this?"
Yeah. That's very possible. And then the next one I have here, it's a bit of a long quote, but I wanted to get this. Is sort of ties into what I was saying earlier about like the story kind of double upping on like descriptions and stuff. The day went by and things continued on as they were. Connie spent most of her time cleaning the house, and her rude husband spent most of the time ordering her around. It was just like how it used to be before the crash. Toby never really left his room. He would sit by his bed and tremble. His mind would wander, but his thoughts changed too fast to be remembered. He would pace around his small room like a caged animal or stare out the window. The unhealthy cycle continued. Connie continued to be pushed around by her husband, being way too submissive to him, and Toby remained in his room. So I get that this is like, it did just bring up like this is an unhealthy cycle, and so like they just keep repeating it. But was like adding that last bit like still necessary? Like it does kind of say the same thing that the top paragraph said. Like, and it's something that does kind of come up, even if this one is like okay the way it is. There are some times in the story where it does just kind of like repeat words, like we said earlier. So this one had me like just like questioning, was that last like part really necessary? Like, could it just like said the unhealthy cycle continued and just moved on? But
yeah, I guess like if you remove that last little bit, it wouldn't change anything. The same vibe would be there.
Yeah, and like we get like, especially when they blatantly say the unhealthy cycle continued. Like if it had not said that, well, I'd still be left with like, why are they repeating themselves? I don't know. This might be a nitpick, honestly. Like now that I'm reading it again and like looking over my thoughts again on this.
I think it's fine that it's there, but if it was like it wouldn't change anything, as I said.
Yeah. Okay. I'll move on then. She put her hand out for his. No, she put her hand out for him to shake, but hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hand. Did I fix it? Hang on.
Yep.
Yep. She put her hand out for him to shake, by hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hands. So the fix here is that by should be changed to but. So it's like went for him to shake, but hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hands. And then the next one here. She smiled nervously before clearing her throat and sitting in the chair across the table from him. He's a transformer. Man, poor Toby getting like all the shit powers too. Like Toby transforms into a table.
That sounds like a Rob Schneider movie. Rated PG-13.
Rob Schneider is a table. Rated PG-13. Table Toby.
Ticket table.
Ticket. Oh, yeah, ticket table. Ticket table. Rated PG-13. Starring Rob Schneider as Ticket Table. All right. So yeah, obviously the change here is just a form should be changed to from. Across the table from him. So, and the next one here. Apparently, I'm just picking away at like all the little, like just the little problems that the story had.
It's all grammar stuff. Like that's what this whole section's about.
Mm-hmm. There was no light. Everything was lit by the luminescent blue glow of the moon through his window, leaving a cold lighting. Seems like a lot of light is mentioned here for something that has no light.
Mm.
Also, could probably just get rid of the first part there of like there was no light and just start with everything. Like everything was lit by the luminous blue glow of the moon through his window, leaving a cold lighting. Bam! You don't need that that first part where it's just like there was no lighting, there was no light because it's wrong.
Or could just say like it was dark, but what you could see was lit by luminescent blue glow.
Yeah, I guess if you want, I mean, I feel like this is an instance where like just like less is more. Like just removing that first part is probably easier.
Yeah,
but I would also
say before that it was dark, or just that it was lit.
Give me
because if it's not referring to the area, it needs to say that like it was dark. Everything was only lit by a luminescent glow. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, give me a second. I gotta find that in the story. Okay, that's the chair.
Control F glow.
I found it. Yeah. He sat up and looked towards the doorway, his door wide open. There was no light. Everything was lit by the luminous blue glow, blah, 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 blah.
So is he referring to what's through the doorway or what's in his room now?
I think he's like his environment, like so his room and the hallway are both lit by the moon's light.
Yeah.
Because we even get like at the end, like when he goes into the hallway, there's a window at the end of the hallway that would shine that same glow in. So. But yeah, I think honestly you just need to get rid of that there was no light, or like you said, put in it was dark, or like the room was dark, and then comma, because there is no comma. It's just like there was no light, everything was lit. Like there's no break, even as it is in the story. So
there was no light, everything.
Yeah, there was no light, everything was lit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it the room was dark, comma. With everything or yeah, and maybe even just a comma
for the luminescent glow.
Yeah, again, I feel like the easiest option is just to cut out "there was no light," and just have everything be the start of the sentence.
That's fine.
Yeah, but I'll move on to the next one. He reached out and grasped the cold door handle with his bandaged hand, and it creaked open. So it should be his bandaged hand, not his had. Next one here. Behind him, he heard a long, eerie groan that sounded like croak right in his ear. I feel like it should be sounded like a croak or even a croaking right in his ear. The next one here I have. It felt like against weight had been lifted off his chest as he took his as he took in deep breaths. So I feel like it should be it felt like a great weight, not against weight.
I corrected that to just a weight. Yeah, I guess that's probably
yeah.
how that became against.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something. I mean, it's very possible this was like these are like some kind of autocorrect function happened.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these are like they were just like misused words or like words that are just like similar but like sounding but not right at all.
Yeah, so probably typed up on an iPad or a phone or something.
Maybe. Or whatever word processor they had or like browser they had.
Word processors like automatically change it like that. Usually underlines it and then you go through the
That's true, yeah. I don't know.
Thing. Doesn't matter. Either way.
Yeah. Also, it could be if you did this on like a certain like browsers, like or even like email. Sometimes like you have an autocorrect on your emails. So, but yeah, I'll move on to the next thing here. The influence of the voices in his head was too much. So I think it should be the influences of the voices in his head were too much, or the influence of the voices in his head were too much, right? Or should it stay was? Because the influence of the voices in his head was too much. Like, I think what like the mistake might be here is that they're using the influence as the main thing in his head, or the main subject of the sentence, but it's the influence of the voices, which is plural. Hence why in his head, for me, it sounds like in his head were too much. Makes more sense.
Honestly, I think it's better the way it is.
The way it is?
Yeah, if it was influences of the voices.
Yeah, I think for me it was the voice, the fact that the voices was plural, like, and it's like the next thing up from to was is what's throwing me off personally. But
yeah, but they're basically all saying the same thing.
Yeah, it is the influence.
One singular thing that it's referring.
Yeah, because technically in the story, in the sentence, the influence is the main subject, and it is singular because it's an influence. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of actually, honestly, like I don't know which one is correct personally.
A little nitpicky.
Yeah, but I guess I'll move on to the next one. He went shove him back, but Toby kicked his feet out in front of him and landed a hard blow straight to his father's face. He went to shove him back. Yeah. And then my next one, he held both the hatchets in one hand and grabbed 2 matches and gasoline before running out of the garage, down the driveway, and up the street. So at first I thought that it was like he grabbed 2 as in like the number 2, not TO, which is what is in the story. However, later context, like he pulls out the matchbox or uses the matchbox to light the match and stuff like that. So I wonder if it's actually just supposed to be and grabbed the matches, like just instead of grabbed 2 matches.
Yeah. That's what I corrected it to as well.
Okay. My next one here, we are getting to the end. Like I've got like I think 2 more after this one. So, a few weeks later, Connie sat in her sister's kitchen his sister, Lori, sat next to her drinking a cup of coffee. Wait, I think it's supposed to be her sister again in the second sentence there. So a few weeks later, Connie sat in her sister's kitchen, period. Her sister, Lori, sat next to her drinking a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was just an honest typo mistake. The next one here. About 3 weeks ago, Connie lost her husband and her son. And a few weeks before, she had lost her daughter to a car crash. So this is just a minor tweak, but I would actually adjust it. So about 3 weeks ago, Connie lost her husband and her son. And a few weeks before that, she had lost her daughter to a car crash. Just add in that, just to kind of solidify that it had been a few weeks before the loss of her husband and son.
Yeah, I guess it still says that anyways.
It does say and a few weeks before, but to me, I would have personally used before that, just to for proper further clarify that it was a few weeks before those 3 weeks.
Well, compared to 3 weeks before now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at that point, it would be saying the same thing twice, which this story does. So
yes, yeah. And then my last grammar inquisition. Last night there have been reported the murder of 4 individuals. So I know it's dialogue from the news reporter, but last night the murder of 4 individuals has been reported. Or had been reported. Just because the way that the way the character said it is wrong. That news anchor should be fired or at least reprimanded. But that is the end of my grammar inquisition. So Mikey, D stands for evil.
Yeah. When the thought of sister came, he couldn't help the tears that welled up in his eyes. So I changed that to when the thought of his sister came.
Yeah. I actually had that in my actual thoughts but I guess it does work for this.
It's a grammar thing.
Well, to me, I don't think it was actually a grammar thing. I actually would have preferred that it instead of the thought of sister came. Could we not just have gotten a name for the sister? Instead of just calling it the thought of sister, so that was my issue, and that's why I thought it was an actual thought more than a grammar inquisition. It's just give us the name of the sister, but
that's fair.
Yeah, but yeah, your Mikey, yours also kind of fixes it because the thought of his sister that it's also a valid correction, I think.
Yeah. All right. Then my next one. Toby remembered when he was arguing with his mom, and he grabbed her by the hair and shoved her to the floor.
Wait. Oh no.
And when Lyra had tried to break it up, he pushed her and she hit her back on the counter of the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
So the issue here is that he's talking about his father.
Yeah.
But when you read it sounds like he's remembering himself doing the things that his daughter did, or his father did.
Yeah. Also, we get Lyra. We get the sister's name. So we could have had that earlier. Just to bring that back up. But yeah, no, I had a similar situation. I don't think it was wrong, but the way I interpreted it when I first read it, it made me chuckle because it made me think that Toby was doing something. It's not this one, but it's something that comes up later. So
yeah, so in this one, I just made Toby remembered when his father was arguing with his mom.
Yeah.
And then later, when Lyra had tried to break it up, his father had pushed her, and she hit her back on the corner of the kitchen counter. So
gives us proper context.
Yeah. And then you did a really good job on finding my other ones that I also found.
Yeah.
And then I have a Conjunction Junction, which is mostly an it story.
All right.
And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
It was peaceful and left a serene feeling. It got so bad he had to turn to homeschooling. It was too hard for him to be in a common learning environment with seemingly every kid poking, or more like stabbing, fun at him. It all went blank for a moment before Toby opened his eyes to see his sister's body, her forehead pierced with glass shards, her hips and legs crushed under the force of the steering wheel, and her torso pushed in from the too late inflated airbag. It took so long to get home because his mom wanted to avoid the sight of the crash. It was an older neighborhood with quaint little houses all next to each other. And when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breaths, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad. It was quiet as his parents picked at their food, but Toby refused to eat. It was just like how it used to be before the crash. It seemed endless, like the ride home from the hospital. It was just a dream. Just a dream. It felt like against the weight had been lifted off of his chest as he took in deep breaths. It looked as if a demon had taken control of him. It appeared to be wearing a dark black suit, and its face was completely blank. It towered over Toby's small frame as it looked down on him. Finn.
Wow. So at first I was like he was in bliss, but he had to like be homeschooled as a result. So it's like, is he on drugs of some kind? And then like kids are stabbing him with knives called Fun. Like the knives are Fun brand of knives. And then his sister also got like stabbed, but with like glass and such. And then it just kept going from there, and then there's like a demon like that was possessing him, and we got a description of the demon. It was like a tall figure with like face that was faceless.
That's also not inaccurate at all.
It isn't, but it was like it was strangely accurate to the story. It was just like a lot more like cut up and like disjointed.
Mm-hmm.
As is what happens with the Conjunction Junction.
Yes. Which are done to highlight all the sentences in a story that start with words that they shouldn't, like it's ends or buts. There's always better words.
Indeed. And that's how you do a segue, folks.
We did it. We did it once.
Yeah. But yeah. So, all right, Gamer, you're up.
Okay. I have a number of grammar-related discrepancies. You've got some of them, not all of them. I had a total of 22.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Some of them are like multiples as well, so it would actually be 30 probably. But anyways, my first one is this is pretty early on in the car, and it's referring to his mother at this point. There wasn't anything significant about her appearance. She looked like any other average mother you would see on TV shows and the like. However, the one thing that made her different was the average mother's... Oh, different than the average mother's was the dark bag she had under her eyes. Her facial expression was gloomy and sad, although she genuinely looked like someone who smiled a lot. So, basically, there's no significant notes about her appearance except for those couple of significant notes about her appearance.
Yeah. Also, I would feel like honestly, like when I read she was different from like average mothers in that she had like bags under her eyes and she had gloomy despite the fact that she looked like a... So she's an average realistic mother.
Mhm.
Because like a lot of like, because again, like raising children is exhausting.
Also, yeah,
yeah.
it also says there's quote unquote one thing that made her look different, and then it proceeds to list two things.
Yeah, definitely some discrepancies.
Yeah. So a rewording of this would be something like, for the most part, there wasn't anything significant about her appearance, but she did have bags under her eyes and looked gloomy and sad, etc., etc.
Yeah.
I don't know if we got this one or not. I feel like probably would have gotten this. Maybe you missed it though.
Let me know.
Toby laid in B.
Yep, we got
Yep.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
I missed that one.
Yeah, I brought it up. It was part of like an extra. There's two things wrong with that that setup. So I did reference it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, this is Toby talking to his mother.
Okay.
When is he going to leave? Toby said with an innocent tone in his shaky voice. Connie let her gaze fall down to her feet. I don't know, honey. He's staying as far as I know. She replied. Toby didn't respond. He just continued to look forward at the wall, holding his damaged arm near his chest. After a few minutes of silence, his mother sighed before she leaned in to kiss his cheek and stood up to walk out of the room. So, a few is 3. And 3 minutes is a long time to just sit there in silence, not saying a damn thing.
Yeah.
Put on a 3-minute timer right now.
No.
That's a long time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like hypothetically. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you can actually do it if you want.
I mean, yeah. Audience, if you would like to do that, measure it like that time.
Yeah. Those at home, put on a 3-minute timer and just sit there beside someone and don't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like moments might have been a good correction.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Changing it to a few moments is more vague and reasonable.
Yeah.
Well, but 1 moment is a minute and a half, so a few moments is actually longer than a few minutes.
I hate you all.
Don't split hairs with me, you piece of shit.
How's it feel, gamer? How's it feel?
Doesn't feel good, okay?
Yeah.
Is this how you feel all the time? Oh my god.
Is this what I'm doing to people?
Sorry, not sorry. Moving on. So, I feel like you would have got this one as well, but again, I didn't mark it off. The figure stood beside the streetlight. This is referring to Slenderman.
Yeah.
About 2 feet shorter than it did. Long arms draped at its sides as it stared up at him with non-existing eyes.
You're referring to the being the light post that it doesn't reference?
Well, no, it's the fact that it's saying like about 2 feet shorter than it did. I feel like it should be about 2 feet shorter than it was.
See, I think
stood beside the street light about 2 feet shorter than it was.
Yes, yeah, because it is referring to like that. It's under the street light, and it's only 2 feet shorter than the street light.
Yes. Also, the long arms draped at its sides. Shouldn't that be possessive its? Because that's referring to the sides of the creature.
True.
Because there's no like.
Though I hate to say, I think it like gets sometimes gets a passing in writing, not from us, but from
no apostrophe at all on it, because there's no apostrophe.
I think if you were unaware of if it's like a person or if it's a thing, I think when it comes to things, it gets a pass without the apostrophe.
It's I Googled this. Without the apostrophe is a possessive pronoun like his or her for nouns that don't have a defined gender.
Okay.
In contrast, it apostrophe s with an apostrophe is a shortened form or contraction of it is or it has.
So it doesn't need the apostrophe.
Well, now I need to know apostrophe in or apostrophe out. Or is apostrophe out even a thing?
It isn't a thing.
Is it not?
You're thinking on the outside of the S?
Yeah.
It's only a thing when it's a name that ends in S. You wouldn't add another S to it.
I kind of swore, like in school, I was taught that like it's with the apostrophe on the outside is possessive when referring to like this is like
no,
it's sweater or or something like that.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to look the shit out of this. 'Cause, yeah,
We're
everything I'm
learning. We're
Googling, it's-
learning.
Everything I'm googling, it's like I don't
Yeah.
see any results of it. God damn it, that's annoying. If it doesn't exist, it should exist. It's in English 2.0. I'll get on that.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. He'd start missing memory of minutes, hours, days, and so on. I feel like that should be he'd start missing minutes of memory, not memory of minutes.
Oh no, because memory of minutes, was it days and weeks even?
Where's days?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like he's missing memories of. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, I feel. Yeah, like, wait. Like, shouldn't it? Shouldn't it be like he was missing minutes, hours, even days of memory? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to your side on that one.
Hell yeah. That's a first.
Not always.
But I'll move on.
Yeah.
His mother grew so anxious about his mental health that she decided it'd be good for him to talk to a professional about what he was feeling. I feel like it should be his mother grew so concerned about his mental health, not anxious.
Yeah.
Because anxious is a very different feeling than concerned, in my opinion.
And from what we've read so far about the mother is honestly like one of the better characters, like one of the more concerned, like more caring characters to Toby here. So it would make more sense. It would be more in line with the character.
Mm-hmm. And then my next one, I'm surprised no one brought up, but hey, maybe I'm just an idiot again. It's entirely possible.
Oh,
I've taken that mantle. It's fine. I'm always learning more than everyone else. Anyways, there's 4 instances of padded being used when referring to him walking somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a term or not, but I've never seen it before and it seems weird. Like he heard the door creak open and his mother padded into the room. Or the window at the end of the hallway lit up the darkness with blue moonlight as he padded his way down. He stood up and padded over to his window, looking out into the hallway once again. He padded down the hallway. Like, is that not weird?
so I accepted it because it sounded like I don't know if I can't recall if I've ever actually read it in stuff, but I feel like I've heard it before in context to like to like sneakily walking, like kind of like trying to be as quiet as possible while you're walking like towards something, like tiptoeing somewhere. It's somebody padded towards somewhere to like to so that as not to make noise. I'm currently looking. I'm currently trying to Google it right now for us.
Well, pad, walk with steady steps, making a soft, dull sound.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
past tense is padded.
Yeah, and according to the Merriam-Webster website, to go on foot, walk, especially to walk with or as if with padded feet. The dog padded along beside him, padding around in bedroom slippers. So
you're talking about doing it quietly?
Yes.
When I look it up, it says padding. Walk heavily and firmly.
What the fuck?
As when weary or through mud, or walk quietly.
Yeah, so it has multiple. Sorry, gamer. It's a word that has multiple meanings. This has been a
Buffalo, 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 buffalo.
moment with Gamer in Yellow.
That shit pisses me off more than anything else.
Your spirit animal is buffalo.
Oh no. What's an anti-buffalo? I hate buffalo.
Humans?
Yeah, technically.
White Americans?
Yeah. The buffalo are extinct, so should the whole buffalo-ness of our land.
Oof. Also, they're endangered, sir. They are not. They are threatened.
What am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of mammoths.
No. What
Or
did they
the
hunt to extinction from the Wild West?
I don't think there's anything that's been driven to extinction from the Wild West. The dodo bird's was driven to extinction.
I think it was bison. Maybe not.
No, bison are also not extinct.
Hmm.
I think it was like, yeah, I don't think there is an animal that has been quite. I mean, again, we got really close with the buffalo. But yeah, they've definitely made it. They're making a comeback, thankfully.
Okay, I
But,
guess that's fine.
yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. I just love that. What's the antithesis to buffalo? Man.
I mean, you can say that about any animal, technically.
Yeah, fair.
What's the antithesis to man? Man.
Yeah, also man.
Yeah.
I want that on a t-shirt. What's the antithesis of man? And then on the back, man. Shit.
But I shall move on.
Okay.
Suddenly, a door slammed behind him, and he jumped and turned around. Behind him, he heard a long, eerie groan that sounded like a croak right in his ear. He turned around as fast as he could, and was suddenly face to face with none other than his dead sister. I know you kind of brought this up before, but it's not for the reason I am.
Yeah.
And I forgot to chime in. Did he turn around twice or once?
So the door slammed behind him, like as he's walking through the hall. So he turned around.
He jumped and turned
then-
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then he heard the croaking sound, from behind him, like through it from his ear, like right next to his ear. So he turned around again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did you guys both see that he turned around twice, or was it once, just repeating itself?
No, he turned around twice. That's how
Okay.
I saw it. Yeah.
It needs to say that.
Yeah. You're right.
He did a 360 and walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 360, no fear.
Yeah. No, actually, I think it was a 360. A 360 jump scare.
Yeah, 360 jump scare. There you go.
Because he got double jump scare. He got jump scared by he had a fake out jump scare, and then in the movie, like it's that situation where like there's a fake out jump scare, and then there's an actual jump scare. Like
yeah,
seconds
there's
later.
a weird noise as like characters are creeping up towards like a trash can, and then a cat jumps in, and like, oh, and all of a sudden a knife comes down and murders him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, if it is meaning to be twice, it needs to kind of make that a little bit clearer. Like, suddenly a door slammed behind him, he jumped and turned around. Behind him, he saw nothing, but heard a long, eerie groan that sounded like a croak right in his ear. He turned back around again as fast as he could, and he was suddenly face to face with none other than his dead sister.
Yeah.
Or if it's meaning once, then just make it say once. You know.
Fair.
But we all assume twice, so fine. That being said, this story repeats things a lot, so that might not actually be the case. Either way, moving on. Behind the tall, dark mass were rows of children looking to range from 3 to 10 years old. Their eyes completely black, blah, 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 blah. So it kind of sounded weird. Of like rows of children looking to range from 3 to 10 years old, when it should just be like behind the tall dark mass were rows of children from 3 to 10 years old, instead of looking to range from 3 to 10 years old.
Yeah. Or like
just ranging from 3 to 10 years old, or just looking from 3 to 10 years old. You don't need both.
I think ranging is honestly what that's what I would have gone with. Yeah, ranging from.
Oh yeah, ranging from, yeah, or that range from, yeah. There's options, but don't need both.
Yeah, no, they're all rangers. they've all got bows and hatchets, and like they've got like leather armor, like medium leather armor on.
I immediately went Power Rangers.
God damn it!
I saw rows of children doing like sick poses in colorful jumpsuits.
God, like Slutterman's there, like, and then like there's the Power Ranger, like a bunch of like kids in Power Ranger like get ups like behind them, and like there's like a creepy like version, like non-lyric version of the Power Rangers music going, like the original Power Rangers theme going on
Like backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
The question is Slender Man Zordon, or is he the Zord? Is he the Megazord?
Oh my god.
Do the children all puppet him?
No,
Or is he their boss? He's
I
probably
think
their boss.
he's the
Zordon.
boss. Yeah, he's Zordon.
Yeah.
He is 100%. Oh my god, he is 100. Zordon was actually Slender Man. He needed He needed a group of kids, or a group of teens with attitude to do his bidding as proxies.
What does he just do? That's his deal. Like, he just took Toby for that purpose.
Go Slender Rangers! Da-da-da-da-da. Go Slender Rangers! No,
Wow.
go Slender Proxies! Da-da-da-da-da. Go Slender Proxies!
That's too good.
Go Slender Proxies! You creepy Slender Proxies!
Yeah.
Or no, you creepy black-eyed Slender Proxies!
Do they all have black eyes?
Yeah, they all have black eyes with like ooze coming off of them and stuff like that. It's a thing in some of the Slender lore. So some people have attributed the black-eyed kid's creepy like cryptid creature to Slender Man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. I'll move on.
Mhm.
Toby woke with a start. He screamed out and sat up as fast as he could, completely short of breath. So maybe it's just me, but to me, you can be completely out of breath or short of breath. You can't be completely short of breath.
Yeah, the story sure likes to double down on things.
But not when it's important to. Like some of these, I'm like, I wish it doubled down.
Yeah, I would love a double down right now.
Oh, right. I don't know what that is,
but it's the
I've heard
KFC
it
double
before.
down where it's like it's a chicken sandwich from KFC, but they replaced the bread bun with just 2 extra pieces of chicken.
Isn't that just chicken then? It's like, what's the difference?
It's just a chicken sandwich. Like it is a true chicken sandwich because it has chicken and like the dressings and stuff of a chicken sandwich, and then they are like smashed between 2 other pieces of chicken breast, like that have been like that are like KFC chicken.
Can't you just buy 3 pieces of chicken, stack them, and eat them, and it's the same thing?
I mean, you also have to put the condiments and stuff of that on inside as well. But yes, basically.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's also very not good for you. I mean, it's good. It tastes awesome, but it's not good for you.
No. Okay, my next one is a little long-winded, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Go for it.
Because it
Do it,
annoyed
I'm
me.
here. Kill me.
And it's on this really short section, but it's enough that it bothered.
Okay.
Okay. So, this is a combat breakdown, basically. And how this little bit of combat in here is just really grinding my gears. So,
Okay.
in regards to like the knife struggle on the ground with Toby and his dad, with Toby and Mr. Rogers, because he is Mr. Rogers and he's dying in this neighborhood. But that's
Damn it, you. Okay, I was gonna bring that up in my in actual thought.
Oh,
but
I was waiting for everyone else to do their notes. I'm like, okay, well, no one's gonna say it, so I'll say it.
But yeah, no, like
If you have something cool playing with it, just cut mine out and go with yours.
No, not really. It's just like when the first thing we bring, I was like, seriously, Mr. Rogers, wait. like as me like realizing that like his name's Mr. Rogers.
Like
and
the
then
beautiful mind equations are like all over.
Yeah, exactly. And then like it's like also great. My mental image of the dad is ruined because now I just imagine it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. He's like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I bring this up also later in my notes, but like it was not a great day in the neighborhood.
It was really not.
No, but continue. Sorry.
Man, he became a dick in his retirement, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he was a dick in his younger years when he got killed and resurrected, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Rogers, the Mr. Rogers we all know, who is older, like is an older guy, is actually a zombie who's like got a complete like personality change.
Probably not, but that's
we're
fine.
creating. I was gonna say we're creating a deep lore for like a deep and twisted necromantic lore for Mr. Rogers.
So stupid.
I love it.
Anyways, either way, the the knife struggle on the ground, it came off too video gamey. Oddly enough, I mean that in a bad way.
Wow.
I know, right? As in, it felt like it's a JRPG, like a turn-based fight. Because for each of Toby's attacks, there was like a reset back to both of them being unhindered, aside from the ground.
Yeah.
So like, it didn't. There was no struggle. It was like, I attack you. Oh, you parried my knife. Okay. I attack you again. Oh, you parried my knife. It's the same thing twice because this story loved doubling down.
Yeah.
But like the first one is he went to grab his neck, but his father reached out and blocked his hand by grabbing onto his wrist. So it's not stated that his father loses the grip of the wrist of the hand that he's holding the knife. Yet, a couple of lines down, it says he yelled back and went to stab the knife into his father's chest, but his father blocked him and grabbed his wrist once again. But it never said that he lost the grip in the first place. So I imagined this as like he grabbed his hand, he's like fighting him, and then all of a sudden he had to grab his hand and fight him.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. It is odd because I remember reading the second part where like he got grabbed by the wrist again, and I was like, wait, how did he break out of that wrist grab the first time?
Yeah, my point exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a better way to do this would be like after you grab the wrist the first time, when he's about to like attack him again, he pulled back to break the grip on his wrist, yelled back at him, and went to stab into his father, but grabbed onto his wrist once again, blah, 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 blah. Like, just mention that he broke the grip.
Yeah.
Because that way it shows both sides of the fight are both winning and losing in this struggle, or like they're kind of evenly matched in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And then next up, he went to shove him back, but Toby kicked his feet out in front of him and landed a hard blow straight onto his father's face. So when I first read that, I didn't fully know what he was trying to say, since feet is plural. So like, as silly as it is, the first thing I imagined was like Toby doing like a handstand while he's being grappled and like swinging both of his feet down to like stomp into his dad's face. That's probably unlikely though. Probably didn't happen.
Yeah, what is
it
he, a kickboxer? Like,
yeah, like says feet, like kicked his feet out in front of him and landed a blow into his face. But I imagine what it's meaning is that at this point, I imagined it was meaning he did like a curb stomp kind of motion, right?
Yeah.
Which I suppose you could do awkwardly while your wrist is being held on the ground. But it'd be weird. But also saying he went to shove him back is hard to tell which guy is doing what as well, because like the shove here can be used to create the distance needed to do the kick in the first place here. So instead of saying like he went to shove him back, just say he did. Like his father shoved him back, so Toby put his foot down and landed a hard blow straight on his father's face. Because like shoving him back also breaks the grab too, so then he can reinitiate the stab attack,
Yeah.
And also like putting his foot down, if you said those words specifically, also has a double meaning as well. Because he's like putting his foot down, like "fuck you, Dad."
He's
I'm
not gonna take
standing up
this
for
shit.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take your shit, but you're gonna take my shit. No, so you're gonna take my shit. Oh, anyways,
Okay. Yeah.
The next part, his father recoiled and pulled his arms away to cuff his face, but Toby got back up and drove the knife straight into his shoulder. So first off, in my opinion, swap cuff to cover, so he covered his face.
Yeah.
It's like maybe cuff means that, but it just sounds right to say you're covering up, you're covering your face. Also, secondly, when did Toby get knocked to the ground? Like, he said he shoved him, but he didn't say he fell or anything. That he got back up.
Yeah.
And after he just kicked him in the face. So, at this point, I'm like, okay, I think I know what's going on finally. So, his father did shove Toby off of him. But in Toby losing his balance, he tripped back. And in doing so, his feet swung ahead and accidentally kicked his father in the face. So, something like, his father shoved him back, Toby falling onto his back. While falling, however, his feet kicked ahead and accidentally landed a hard blow against his father's face. I think that's what actually happened.
Yeah.
And then after that, he gets back up and stabs.
Yeah. Which
So
makes
finally,
it a little more clarifies the combat a little bit more.
Yeah. So after all that, I think it makes sense now, and I finally understand what happened. But I had to write all these notes down and like clear up one line and then another line, and then clearing that I had to read the next line to realize that the previous line was actually meaning something else. It's like I had to go through this whole process just to understand this fight.
Mhm.
And I mean, maybe I'm just picky about this sort of thing, but I shouldn't have to do this.
Hmm.
You know?
I'm just trying to enjoy the story.
Yeah. This is like the one sticking point. Like everything else read over pretty like smoothly, but this part just bugged me.
Fair.
I'll move on from there to my last one. This is after the murder and with the mother over at her sister's place, I think. The police were keeping her busy. They had just finished cleaning up the case, and the story had been released 2 weeks ago. Focus of the world seemed to have shifted to completely new stories. So that last bit, is it meaning that the case dried up and they couldn't find Toby? Like the police, it says the police were keeping her busy and all that. Like,
Yeah.
so the world seems to have shifted to a completely new stories. It's kind of a weird way to say it.
It is. So what I think what it was trying to say is like basically like even though like the case is still ongoing, like and like the police are keeping her busy and like she's like they're keeping her updated and they're like asking her like pestering her with more questions and stuff to try and get the investigation like proceed. The news like basically the news news channels and stuff like that are basically they're moving on to more recent stuff like as newspapers and news platforms do.
Well,
Like,
okay, but this isn't a story about a news anchor that has to handle certain stories. Like I don't give a shit what the news says. I want to know what's actually happening in the story.
but the whole point, the whole end of the story is about her like listening to the news and stuff. And so yeah, it's not about an anchor, obviously, but it's like it's just saying like even though like her her family's investigation is still ongoing by the cops, the world has moved on. Like the news circuits like did their piece on Toby's whole like event and situation, but now they're moving on to other things and so basically they're getting like Toby's mom is being left with all the cops and stuff like that. So
I mean, that's kind of goes without saying, doesn't it?
not all the time. Or at the very least like the story like is just mentioning it. So
It's like the story mentioning the sun's going to come up tomorrow. Like no
well,
shit.
I mean,
And
well,
of course, after like the news is only going to report on stuff that's newsworthy while it's newsworthy. No shit.
yes, but in this story, it also kind of is a foretelling of like that the news is going to like pipe up again about Toby and stuff like that. So, yeah,
I guess. I just wish it was worded a little differently. Something like just something that's a little bit more. I don't know the word for it, but either way, something like this. They couldn't find Toby, so unless he shows up, the case is closed for the time being.
but that's wrong. Like because the cops are still looking into the Toby situation. It's just the news has stopped like reporting about it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter that the news doesn't report it.
It does because
as far
like,
as the cops say, they think he's dead.
Yes. Oh, okay. I have a whole thing about like the end of the story with the news anchor, like the whole like the news art thing too, because it's wrong. Like it's just blatantly wrong, but it is what you're getting at, like what you're talking about here, is sort of like pulling into that whole like end of the story where like she sees on the news that there's been 4 killings, and the police now believe that it is Toby, or they have Toby as a suspect.
Yeah, but it says on the news that he was suspected to be dead already. I forget where it is.
Oh, it's at the very end. Like it's the stupidest section ever.
Yes, it is. It is absolutely. I am in agreement. It is the dumbest way to report this.
Although they believe the young boy had died in the fire, investigators suspect Rogers might still be alive due to the fact that his body was never found. Like, why are they believing he died in the fire if they never found the body?
Yeah, Oh, and there's dumber stuff. There's even dumber stuff in those two last paragraphs. But I'll get to that in my actual thoughts.
Fair enough. You might as well get to that now.
Okay, fine.
Because I'm done.
All right. Sorry if like it sounded like I was like attacking you over that.
We're on the same side. I don't like this ending. You don't like this ending. Yet you're fighting with me.
I don't
We're on the same side.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, let's move on to actual thoughts. So I've already done the thing about the sister's name because we get Lyra, but we like Mikey already covered it. So I'm gonna start with this part here at the very beginning. This is the quote here. That was the last thing he had seen of his dear old sister. So at this point in the story, I was like reading. I was like, okay, so far Toby has two physiological issues, one of which had him being ridiculed at school so much that he had to like be homeschooled as a result of it, and he just survived a car crash where his sister wasn't so lucky. Really making this killer, this character that is going to become a killer, really sympathetic right off the hop. Like, I'm already feeling for this kid. How or will this story make me turn on him for being a killer / proxy to Slenderman? And the update is, it really didn't. Like, this poor guy is also a victim of the Slenderman and an abusive father. If anything, I still felt like really bad for this kid by the end of the story because it's a tragic horror story because like this kid didn't ask for this, didn't ask for any of this bullshit that happened to him, and is just like constantly being like victimized as much as any of the other characters in the story. So he's a rather sympathetic character, regardless of the fact that he ends up becoming a proxy killer for Slenderman. And in fact, as a result of that, he is sympathetic. So it was interesting because like I going into this thing, it was just gonna be another run of the mill like edgy teen like killer like Jeff the Killer or Eyeless Jack and what have you. But it really wasn't. Honestly like this character is actually really sympathetic. Can I say sympathetic anymore?
You just did.
I know, but I'll continue. I already brought up the thing about like the father being named Mr. Rogers, and also like just not like, but the quote from that I was going to pull from that is, his father opened up his arms, expecting a hug from his wife, but she walked past him and put her arm around Toby's shoulders and started leading him inside. Connie, her husband began with a raspy voice. What, no welcome home hug, huh? And to that, I was like, seriously, Mr. Rogers. And then that was like, wait, read the room. Your family is clearly angry at you for obvious and like reasonable reasons. You dick. Like, yeah, this is the start of me just like really hoping that the father gets his comeuppance. And he does. But gonna move on to the next thing here. It was quiet as his parents picked at their food, and Toby refused to eat. Instead, he just watched his dad with a blank stare. His mother caught on to his staring and elbowed him slightly. I don't mean to sound insensitive to a fictional character, admittedly. This may just be ignorance of my own for like on the matter of like his condition. But how did he feel his mom's elbowing him? Especially since she did it slightly. He can't feel physical contact like that, right?
Well, he can't feel pain.
Yeah, pain is not like
okay.
touch.
That's honestly why I was kind of like tiptoeing around, padding around the situation.
How dare you?
Was because like I am ignorant about the like what amount of interaction, like physical interaction, are they able to like to feel like when they have that?
You pick up a kitten and rub its soft little face against your cheek. Is that pain?
No, but
Or no, it's a,
but he's got
a
a but
sensation that you feel normally, but specifically the pain receptors don't work on it.
okay.
It's not just feeling in general.
Okay. Well, I also I thought like pain receptors are just like what happens when like our nerve endings are basically like sent off to the extreme. So he's just I guess because of this rare condition, he's just his nerve endings don't go that high, like to the point of like pain receptors.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
I don't know anything about this. Like I've heard of this this condition before, and like I've seen it in media and stuff, but I'm wholly ignorant to it otherwise. So,
all right, I have it here. Pain sensing nerves in these patients are not properly connected in parts of the brain that receive the pain messages.
okay,
So he has the nerves, just his brain doesn't get the signal.
doesn't get the pain like the pain response.
Specifically the
Okay.
pain one, not just like sensations from touching.
Okay. Then I will not like go any further with this. Like obviously, like he is able to feel things. My bad. I'll move on to the next thing. He stopped suddenly, and his gaze slowly centered on something standing under the streetlight. He heard ringing in his ears and couldn't look away. The figure stood beside the streetlight, about 2 feet shorter than it did. Long arms draped at its sides as it stared up at him with non-existing eyes. The figure had no facial features to speak of. No eyes, no mouth, no nose. Yet it held Toby's hypnotized stare, seemingly peering into his very being. The ringing in his ears grew louder and louder. Each second he stared before suddenly it all went black. Slender Man. Classic Slender Man appearance right here. Yeah, I liked the encounter with Slender Man. As much as like Slender Man is a dick in this one, it's a classic like Slender Man appearance of just like seeing him outside your window under a streetlight, and it's like, man, he's really tall. Like he's almost at the top of the streetlight. Like that's fucked up and creepy.
Yeah.
Also, when is Slenderman not a dick?
That's true.
Slenderman?
Yeah. Well, Slenderman is a completely separate entity.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's the antithesis to Slenderman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I originally didn't see Slenderman. I saw Enderman.
Fair. Is it because of, like the tall dark figure?
Yep.
Yeah, I do recall this story saying like he was wearing a dark black suit. I was like, the
Well,
story
later
really likes
on,
to double down on those. Yeah.
Like later on, it says he has a suit, but until that point, I just saw a tall, dark figure, and it's like it could be an Enderman from Minecraft.
Yeah. It could have been the Dark Man, or not the Dark Man. Or it could have been the Dark Man. It could have been the Tall Man, who is a separate, but kind of potentially related Slenderman creature that is basically just like a tall, like dark figure. Like you can't see anything about it because it's basically just a silhouette. But it's this like very tall, lanky figure that roams around. So, and then there's the Tall Man from Phantasm. Just keeps going. Apparently, we're just really afraid of tall figures, of tall beings. But I'll move on. He had no thoughts flowing through his mind. I shouldn't find this funny, but all I can think of is Toby sitting up in bed and just going, duh, like Selman Belmont from Captain N, the Game Master, for hours, just doing that for hours. Like, I don't. That's like this is the start of like me just like going. It's like I'm a terrible person, like because there's a couple of times in the story where I just like start chuckling because the story reminds me of something that's funny, but I shouldn't but I shouldn't think it's funny. But moving on to the next one. Yeah, but still makes me kind of sometimes feel like an awful person. Next thing here, his memory grew glitchy as well. He'd start missing memory of minutes, hours, days, and so on. So do we have another Bioroid or android here?
Why?
Because his memory is glitchy.
Oh,
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's it. That's the comment. It's just like they use a word that's usually associated with like machinery and robots and stuff. So,
but in the 2080s.
yep, we got it in the 2080s.
Add to the
Ticci-Toby.
list.
Yep. My next one here. He looked out into the dark hallway and tiptoed out of his room. Notice how it didn't say padded there.
Yeah, right.
The window at the end of the hallway lit up the darkness with blue moonlight as he padded his way down. He could hear footsteps rustling around him and faint giggling, followed by the pitter-patter of small feet, which sounded like a child had run in front of him, giggling and running around. The hallway was a lot longer than he remembered. So when I read this is easily the most creepy thing in this entire story for me. Like, I hear that shit and I'm just like, nope. But at that point, it's too late because like he's entered like this weird like extending hallway and stuff. And then I realized, wait, an extending hallway. I really hope this isn't like a dream sequence or something, since he was just in bed when all this happened. And then we cut away to this quote. It was just a dream. ... Just a dream. And I'm like, God damn it. Hey,
That was the end of the story there.
yeah. Though, to be fair, for the story and like the use of that, of the dream sequence setup, if I'm being honest, Slenderman does infiltrate dreams from time to time in stories to break down his victim's willpower and spirit. So it is a thing that Slenderman does. He does infiltrate your dreams and cause you to have nightmares and such. So, like it's part of his psychic attack on you. But yeah, for a moment I was like, God damn it, it's mundane-ifying the horror here. It's like, it's just a dream. It can't hurt you. Well, when Slenderman's involved, it can possibly hurt you.
Yep.
And then we have this one here. So this is my thing about things being like funny when they shouldn't be. He actually had complete thoughts for just moments before the chanting of the little voices in his head clouded them. Kill him! He wasn't there! He wasn't there! Kill him! Kill him! They continued on. Toby trembled.
Just imagine children sounding like that.
So it's the little like creepy like Arnold Schwarzenegger faced baby from when it's the movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger becomes a mom.
Mr. Mom?
Is it Mr. Mom? Yeah, I think it's called Mr. Mom. Yeah, and he has like a dream, like a nightmare dream of like seeing the little baby. It's like got his face on it.
No, Mr. Mom was with someone else.
Shit! What? It's not twins.
Arnold pregnant. Junior.
That's what it was. Yes, it was Junior. Oh shit.
Which was Mr. Mom?
I don't know, but yeah, like this, I was like, I read that the dialogue. It's like, because it was like, kill him, like kill me, I'm here, kill him, Dylan. So yeah, I couldn't. I feel like an awful person, but I just like for like ruining the spooky scene here and the tension by like having Arnold Schwarzenegger's character Dutch from Predator saying the line.
Child form.
Yeah, yeah, as done by
his fatality from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
still has the same voice.
God. But I'll move on to the next one here. He began to pound his fists into his head, laughing and wheezing. I know. It's supposed to mean his dad's head, but apparently I'm just the critically silly one today. Because I just like, he began to pound his fists into his own head, laughing and wheezing.
Honestly, I thought of that too.
Okay.
You're not the only one.
Yeah. And then the next one we have here, he looked over to see his mother standing a few feet away, covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Toby, she screamed. Why did you do that? She cried. Why? She screamed. I mean, and this is in regards to like Toby, killing his dad and stuff. I mean, the guy kind of had it coming. Like,
Well, that's neither here nor there. I think it's the fact that he just ruined his life.
oh yeah, there is also that too. Yeah, but like, yeah, honestly, I was like kind of rooting for the guy, his old man to die because like he's just an abusive alcoholic fuck. So if anybody was going, honestly, I was actually kind of glad that Toby didn't just immediately go and kill his mother then too. Like he actually just ran away, thus adding more to the tragedy and the more like the actual like depth to the character in that he's now kind of he's actually a tortured killer victim.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'll move on to the next thing here. Toby stood up and began to back away from his father's bloody corpse. He began to back out of the kitchen. God damn it. Why am I a horrible person? Like reading this, I pictured him moonwalking out of the kitchen.
Seriously?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. What is wrong with me today?
I don't know.
I'm like, wee.
I mean, he's clearly lost sand.
Yeah, clearly. But moving on to the next thing. One of the hatchets was new. It had a bright orange handle and a shiny blade. And the other one was old with a wooden handle and an old dull blade. He grabbed both and looked down at the table, and he saw a box of matches. And under the table was a red gasoline tank. And to this, I was like, "Oh yeah, hatchets akimbo."
Yeah, a little bit.
Also, I'm pretty sure the bright orange handled knife is, or not knife, axe hatchet is I think Ticci-Toby's like weapon of choice. Hence why the old one is missing, or the old one is found at the scene of the previous one.
Oh yeah, they did say that. Right.
Yeah. But and then I'll move on to the next one. As he approached the streetlight that he could see out of his bedroom window, he heard police sirens in the distance. He turned around, and the red and blue flashing lights came rushing down the street. Damn, those are some fast response team.
Yeah, they're not in Dirtland.
Now, like my rationale is they must have been in the area on patrol when they got the call, presumably from Mrs. Rogers. Like seconds, like they probably Mrs. Rogers probably called 911, reporting the murder, and then the dispatchers contacted the nearest police that just happened to be in the neighborhood. It's so wonderful day in the neighborhood. I mean, I guess it's not so much a wonderful day in the neighborhood, being night and all, and the murder.
Yeah, and dead. Yeah, that's the main reason.
Yeah. But I'll move on. The investigators have discovered. Oh, so this is like the news report thing that we were talking about earlier. So this is like the last two paragraphs of the story. The investigators have discovered a weapon at the scene of the crime. It appears to be an old dull blade hatchet, as you can see here. I don't think they would actually give that kind of detail in the news.
No.
Certainly, the police would release the police would not release that kind of info the day after a murder has happened. And then we get this. Although they believed the young boy had died in the fire, investigators suspect Rogers might still be alive due to the fact that his body was never found. So so again, this is like mostly in I mentioned to like the entire the last two paragraphs and like this news report that's going on. It sounds like that the police department has an informant for the local news leaking information to them. Seriously, I know that the story is connecting the kills to Toby because like it, gamer, it, Mikey, it, anybody else in the audience reading the story, I know it. But like it does have to come up in the story somehow as like a reason to connect it. But like, this is not the way to do it, because that kind of intel, like they would not in the real world. I'm pretty sure like a police department would not release that kind of information to the public, except for like maybe the rare occasions that there is a news, like there is an information leak to the news, or otherwise the police want to control the flow of information on the investigation, so they might put out some information to the public to try and help if they are having a trouble like in the investigation. So they might like call it, like kind of crowdsource it with like the general public. But otherwise, no, they would not use. This information would not get leaked. I don't even think they'd show the bodies like on the news necessarily, which they do according to the story. Yeah, like everything this news anchor is doing is wrong in the story. Just from like a realism point of view, like the news anchor is apparently the Derplin News Network.
Yeah,
the police are fine. It's the Derplin News Network that's happening. Also, with regards to like Mrs. Rogers, like watching this and like seeing like losing what she's lost, and then seeing her son's name as a suspect in this new murder sequence and stuff of that. I think the story should have really just had a subtitle: Mrs. Rogers, no good, very bad month. Like, it has been a month for this poor woman.
Also, don't actually put that in the story.
What?
Mrs. Rogers, no good, very bad.
No,
month.
obviously, yeah, I'm being silly, but like that for me, that is the my headcanon's like subtitle for this story. Mrs. Rogers, no good, very bad month. But yeah, that's my actual thoughts for the story. Mikey, these tents are evil.
All right. I touched on a lot of them. And how stupid the report is at the end of the story. So my last actual thought, I have a quote here. "Don't touch me, boy."
Oh no! Wait, was the dad the tall man this whole time? It's a tall off. Does that make Toby a tall boy? Sorry, that was really stretching for that one.
Or maybe it's the Slender Man way of making sure there's only one tall entity in the vicinity.
Ah, yes. There can only be one. Wow. So apparently, Mr. Rogers is Mr. Rogers mixed in with the tall man from Phantasm. Or to tie it into the Phantasm universe. This is so in the Phantasm, the tall man is taking corpses and transmuting them into zombie dwarfs so that they can do his bidding in this like high gravity planet in another reality that he takes them to. What if this is another like one of his experiments? And so that's how the product of Mr. Rogers, the friendly old man in the on like 80s and 90s syndicated television for children. Really stretching this lore, this bit.
The other option that Mr. Rogers is actually Kratos from God of War.
Isn't it Kratos?
Yes.
Why did you say it weird?
Just to mess with you.
Okay. All right. Explain. Oh, because of dad of boy?
Yeah.
Like boy. Dad of boy. Yeah, that old meme. Wow. And that's the end of your actual thoughts, or do you have more?
Yeah, I've piped in on a few, so yeah, we went through them pretty quickly.
Okay. Quickly, in quotes. All right. Gamer, what do you got?
Okay. Well, my first one is in regards to the art that no one talked about.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah. Well, I mentioned, I referenced that there is art, but yeah.
Not that the specific one that's here.
Yeah.
But first thing I saw is like, okay, it's cool, but I wonder how accurate it is to the character. It's not, in my opinion.
No.
Because Toby's never described as wearing a hoodie, a jacket, yellow round sunglasses, and or that face mask. Like, it's cool look and everything, but none of that is what's described in the story. The only thing that's accurate is like he's pale and he has brown hair.
Yeah.
But even the brown hair is actually styled and it doesn't look that messy.
Yeah.
Also, the formatting on this, it's cut off the left and the right of the picture to the point that it says Reapy Pasta presents Ticci-Toby.
Really? Because I'm
Yep.
looking at it now. It says Creepypasta presents.
Nah.
Nope,
If
mine
you-
says Reapy.
If you
Okay.
right click on it and open in a new tab, it shows the entire picture, and that's great. But mine says Reapy Pasta.
Hang on. Open in. Okay. No, it's still showing up fine for me.
Okay, well, 2 out of 3 majority rules. We're right,
Yep.
you're wrong. But
Fair enough.
I clicked on other random creepypastas too, and a number of those also have this formatting issue. So it's not just this one.
I am surprised that for all the art that Kastoway has done for Ticci-Toby, he didn't bring that up in Ticci-Toby's origin story at all. Like the look, unless
Yeah.
He described what he as a human being looks like,
but I'm surprised
not
we didn't get the
the
get
quote unquote killer version.
Yeah.
No.
But sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Oh, and yeah, us saying that it doesn't look like the character or whatever, maybe that's art that the actual writer did. So who are we to say? But long story short, the story itself doesn't describe that look.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a cool look, but it's not in the story.
Yeah.
Unless the image is actually that of the author.
That is Kastoway.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Ticci-Toby at all.
Sure.
Except, you go online and look at Slenderman Connection Wiki.fandom or the Villains Wiki.fandom, and every time you see Ticci-Toby, it's that look. So
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly Google it right now. Yeah, he's got this mask all the time and the round glasses.
oh yeah, also they do mention in the story that he does have like a wound on the side of his face as a result of the car accident, right? And
Yeah, but you can't even see it.
no, there is on the Slenderman Connections.wiki.fandom. There is art, which I believe is by it might be by Kastoway. Hang on. Yeah, it is design and character by copyrighted to Kastoway. The artist is Kastoway. It does show him without the face mask, which gives you this kind of Two-Face kind of like part of his mouth has been carved off, revealing his gums and teeth.
Oh, it's fucked up that bad?
Yeah, it looks like it. I didn't realize it doesn't. You don't realize
It
it's
doesn't
that
describe
bad.
that. It just says it just says that the one side of his face is a little scarred and it goes up into his eyebrow.
Yeah, but this is the image that we get from the art from the creator of Ticci-Toby. This is the image we get without his mask. So
Wow. Also, I'm pretty sure it said the right side of his face. I don't want to be a dick, but
oh, did it say the right side?
I'm pretty sure.
Go running up to the top of the story.
Yeah. Boy lacked a normal appearance. Blah blah blah. Eyes are dark. Close. The right side of his face bared a few cuts along with a split eyebrow.
That is
few
not a
cuts,
few
eh?
cuts. That is not a few cuts.
I mean, that's a cool look and everything, but it's
It
just like
is.
what I said about the art. It's a sweet look, but it's not in the story.
Yeah. Also, I'm not seeing either his eyebrows in this illustration like have like that like signature like part of it is missing
Mm-hmm.
to have like a cut in his eyebrow. Again, like I do really like the art style of Kastoway, and like
Yeah.
the art is really cool. But this story that they also wrote for Ticci-Toby maybe should have had. They gave more description about the mom than we got about actual like Ticci-Toby.
Unless he gets this look in a future story or something. Like
It's possible.
when he's
Yeah.
being puppeted, he has to fight someone and like rips up the side of his face more.
Yeah,
And that's why he
maybe.
has to wear the
Yeah.
mask so he can hide his face in public. We can move on from there though. But right off the bat, before I even read anything, I don't remember the creepypasta website looking like this. By the way,
They've
or have I
done
just
some.
not been here in a long time?
They've gone through some changes.
Yeah, I
Um,
honestly like the redesign. It's nice and clean.
the ads are still annoying as hell.
They are, but I have an ad blocker, so all it says is advertisements in between.
You monster.
Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to bring this up. So apparently, Kastoway also did a like the different ages of Toby and how he's progressed.
Mhm.
So I think that's actually pretty cool.
Is he a straitjacket on the last one?
Maybe in one of the stories he got captured.
Yeah.
We'd have to look it up. But yeah,
Based on this progression situation, I'm assuming the actual Ticci-Toby story is like in between him wearing the t-shirt or the long sleeve shirt that says 12 and him having a hood. It's probably when the murder happens, or probably between the blue and then
Well-
one beside it
well,
because he looks crazier
no.
in that.
well, no, it
He's
actually has his
17
ages.
in the story.
Yeah, so he's 17. Remember? So
You're expecting me to read these things? I can't see anything.
oh,
It's
okay.
so small and blurry.
You meant the image that I provided, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I thought you were like, you expected to read the story what we just covered? Like,
The second one, the blur on the second one might be a 17. I don't know.
Actually, he does admit that he's 16.
well, he says that with a mockingly to his dad. So
Yes.
yeah, so he was 17 with the black hood with the dark gray hoodie right next to the one with the blue hoodie.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought because at age 15, this is great for the people at home.
Yeah,
You
I'll
look like a
leave a
normal
link
kid.
in the again. I'm leaving a link to his DeviantArt account so you can find these images.
Yeah, okay. So yes, it's as I thought. He gets the cool get up after the fact. So
Yeah,
as I said,
Dude.
probably through his him being puppeted by the Slender Man, his face gets ripped up more.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But that's not the
But-
story.
yeah, exactly. It's not in the story because well, we're experiencing the origin of it, but the origin doesn't include that because apparently that getup, the iconic getup of Ticci-Toby, is when he's 19. So 2 years after the origin story.
Which makes me believe that there is a story that is of that stuff happening. So that art would be there, great. And there's art done of him when he's 17, so why not put that here? You know,
I don't know.
it's
yeah.
fine. I'll move on from there.
Also, sorry, not I don't mean to keep pressing this, but every piece of art I see of him without the mask has the scars on the wrong side of his face now.
Yeah, it's like stage right instead of actual right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, no, it's stage right or stage left? Right, camera left? I forget I think stage right is what it is to the people.
Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay, it really does not matter. Moving on.
It really doesn't.
So, again, before I even started reading, once again, seeing the rating at the top of this is making me going in expecting something awesome, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing with how it tainted my reading. It's like 9.17 out of 10 from nearly 3,000 people. Like that's a really good score.
Yeah. Are we just out of touch?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. No,
when I
it is the
started to-
children who are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, getting through the story, there was like solid character descriptions on it, as much as I'm bitching about the way he looks in regards to the art. But all the characters that are described pretty well. The dad isn't described at all, honestly, aside from just he's an asshole. He could
Yeah.
look like anything, who knows? But for the most part, the characters are designed quite well. But getting through the story, it's I kind of chimed in with this earlier, but it's basically an alternate Jeff the Killer, because like Jeff is a teenager who has a nice mom and a father who's a slight jerk and a dead sibling. He is turned into a murderer by bullies. This one, Toby, is a teenager who has a nice mom and a father who is a legit jerk and a dead sibling. He is tormented by an eldritch bully.
By an eldritch bully. Nice, I like it.
It's like the same thing.
You're not wrong. I would, although I would contest that either. Maybe I'm mixing up the word on this, but like for me, the difference between Jeff the Killer and Ticci-Toby's origin story is that Ticci-Toby has more depth to it.
Yes.
And
he's an
also
actual
is
likable
way more
character.
sympathetic. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff is like, I'm going to kill everyone because reasons.
Yeah. Like he's not just.
Toby's literally being puppeted, and he probably doesn't even want to kill anyone aside from his dad.
That's what it feels like. Honestly, it feels like he's not of this. None of this is of his own volition.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah.
It's like if you took Jeff the Killer and made him likable.
Which, good job.
Yes. That being said, there's tons of people out there that love Jeff, so.
And I mean, there's tons of fan art of Ticci-Toby either hanging out or killing or attacking Jeff the Killer. So
Yeah, of course. And then we get to this part where Toby says, "Ah!" and he starts like falling backwards away from her, which I think was his dead sister.
oh yeah, in the dream sequence.
But he was unable to break eye contact. He held with her blank dead eyes. He dragged himself backward until he backed up into something. As soon as he said something, I'm like, that's going to be Slenderman. It can't not be Slenderman. And then, what a surprise, it's Slenderman.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of telegraphed way too much. I kind of wish it was written as until he felt his back against a wall. Because then that would leave us to assume that it's actually a wall. But, it's actually not. It's Slenderman. Because this is also in a dream sequence, you know?
Yeah.
So when you say it's something, then that's meaning that it's something that I don't want to tell you right now because I have to tell you a little later.
Yeah, it's foreshadowing.
Yeah,
It's
but
a literary maneuver.
I know that. I'm just saying I don't like it.
Fair enough.
I would prefer if they were being a little more subtle with it.
Okay, fair.
And also add to the whole dreamscape not making sense thing. Like he literally backed up against a wall, and then he looked up, and it's Slender.
And then that wall turned out to be Slenderman.
Yeah. And then after he kills his dad and he's run away, he grabs the hatchets, the gas, and the matches. I wanted to know what was going through his mind at that point. That he's like, I need to take weapons, okay, to defend himself. But gas and matches, what could he be possibly thinking right this second that he would need those? That's answered to us, I guess, because he immediately just opens the gas and runs away, lighting the fire behind him. But I don't know. That's such a specific thing to grab. He planned all this out somehow immediately.
Yeah, I was also similarly where's this going? Why is he taking gas? Why is he lighting the forest on fire? Is it to attack Slenderman? But he doesn't know that Slenderman lives in woods necessarily. And then it's explained that it was used as a diversionary tactic to while people are dealing with the fire, he can make his escape. It's that is a really
he was really quick on his feet with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe this is all premeditated, and he thought about doing all this, a whole bunch of what if scenarios. But I don't know. It seems like he kind of snapped. He didn't have time to think about it.
Yeah, it might also be that Slenderman is still puppeting him, and maybe or at least guiding him to do these actions, cutting him off from the rest of the people with the fire, and then grabbing him on the other side of the fire. Maybe.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I will say it was kind of weird the way he like just grabbed the gas.
Yeah, like he runs into the garage and then like on his heads-up display it says like pick up hatchets, pick up matches, pick up gas. Then like your objective's over here. It's like what? This is basically just Slender Man being Cortana to him.
Yeah.
Tell him where to go and what to do.
Where to go.
Where to go. Let's go and do at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, he's just getting waypoints. He's just getting Slenderman waypoints.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, because he's a robot, right? So that can happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Clearly a robot. And then my last note is in regards to the whole Toby can't feel pain, like literally, it's really not taken advantage of in the story at all. There's a single throwaway line of Toby didn't care how much his father beat him down because he couldn't feel it anyway.
Yeah.
But that's it. And like maybe during the fight when his father punched his shoulder and it said the father threw an off-center punch towards Toby's shoulder, but he didn't stop. But I mean, that wasn't a good punch to begin with.
Yeah,
to his shoulder and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe if his father landed a solid punch right to Toby's face, but Toby just like twitched and continued attacking, that would give him more of like a Terminator vibe.
Yeah, or like when he sets the fire, he accidentally sets part of himself on fire, or like has to run through the fire and doesn't feel it at all.
Yeah,
like even that would have like
used when he's fleeing the cops and like maybe one of them tases him and it doesn't do anything, or they shoot him.
I was gonna say they shoot him in the arm or something like that, and he just doesn't feel it. Like, oh, I've been impaled.
Yeah, like his lack of pain is a heavily underutilized, unique feature of this character. And clearly, there's other stories after this, but in the first one, it's not shown up at all.
Yeah,
barely at all, unfortunately. But that is the end of my notes.
Okay. So on to final thoughts. So for me, Ticci-Toby isn't a bad character, honestly. As far as I can tell in this story, he is actually he is a killer, but he's also the victim. Like the Slender Man is manipulating him, and aside from that, life just dealt him such a bad hand. He's not simply a madman pushed over the edge like Jeff the Killer because of like some bullying, and because of some inner rage that that the character had. Like there is a moment where he's like being like in his head, he's got voices in his head telling him to kill his dad. He like tries to stop himself, and then it seems like something takes over. Like some not a rage inside of him like that, like he's been like mulling over, but like an external force, the Slender Man, like basically
like assuming direct control.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mass Effect situation.
Yeah. Exactly. So there are I agree. There are similarities between Jeff the Killer and Ticci-Toby in their origin story and in this story specifically. But I feel Toby got way more depth to him and is way more sympathetic as a character, which amps up the tragedy of the character and kind of makes it more of a tragic horror than, say, Jeff the Killer, where it's like, oh, he was bullied and then he just snapped and just went on a killing spree. It's like, okay, I have no sympathy for that character anymore because he's just blatantly killing people for fun and like madness.
Yep.
Like whereas this,
sorry, I'm gonna let you finish, but think about was it last episode with White the Killer or whatever?
Yeah.
White the Killer was like, it was basically made as a story to make a little sister friend for Jeff the Killer.
Yeah.
But Toby is so much more likable, and it's way more believable for someone to want to be friends with him compared to Jeff. And I just don't get it. I don't get how there's so much fanfare for Jeff. There's so many people making characters that are there just to be friends with Jeff. Meanwhile, Jeff doesn't want to be friends with anyone. He wants to kill everyone.
Yeah, and even in that story, Toby's clearly got a crush on like White knows that Toby has a crush on her, but she doesn't pay him any mind whatsoever and wants that bad boy, Jeff.
Yes. You said Toby, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, Toby's in White the Killer.
Oh yeah, he is. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah.
It was a long time ago. I understand.
Yeah, it really was.
But yeah, like Ticci-Toby, like I'd heard of the character. I've seen the art way before this, like even before the Al Dente Rigor Mortis show. I had seen like art of him and stuff like that, and like thought he was like, it was a cool design. So that he's just another creepypasta killer. But reading the actual, like I never actually sat down and read the story, and now actually reading the story, like his origin story, it's like I really like this character, like, and in terms of like he's way more likable and tragic. So like, yeah, I'm honestly good. That's why I'm still going to recommend this story. Though it could use a round of some light editing, as our Grammar Inquisition has shown. Maybe like, no, because there might be another story where like we actually get his costume and so on. But maybe if you're going to like present the story on like a website like creephouse.com or somewhere, maybe don't use his iconic look, because that's not his look in the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, like again, the story itself here, like it was readable, it was enjoyable, so I recommend it. Mikey, the E stands for evil. Mikey, the E stands for evil.
Yep, I'm here.
Paging Mikey, the E stands for evil.
So, when reading this, it took a while for the action to get going, which is good because it sort of builds up.
Mhm.
But as soon as it got to the action with Thunderman, he just basically suddenly possessed. And yeah, that pushes the story along and whatnot. But I would have liked, I think, more internal struggle, like more of him trying to fight Slenderman, or in his own mind going, "Why am I doing this?"
Yeah, fair.
Because that's how possessions go, right? Like, or I'm thinking more of the Animorphs TV show.
With the Yerks?
Yeah, like they possess you via a thing in your ear, right?
Yeah, the little brains. The Yerks are an alien slug parasite that get into your head through your ear, and that's how they control it. Then they can get access to your brain and such. But yeah,
Yeah, and in that TV show, there was the internal struggle where basically the person was in their own mind, but they were tied up and struggling to break
right.
free and get control back.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have a bit more of a struggle, not just okay, I'm possessed, and
I
move on.
It's entirely
Yeah,
possible that it's because Slenderman is so ungodly powerful that you can't really resist him.
well, here's actually the thing about the story that we didn't really touch on, and it kind of adds on to like the thing I was saying with like it could use a round of editing and maybe even some like extra things. There is a bit halfway through the story where it just kind of summarizes the next couple of like next week or next few weeks or so of like their life leading up to him eventually like getting the nightmare and killing his dad. It just summarizes that. Like it's just like that is there's a repetition, but like there could have been something in there maybe where like he's gripping with Slenderman's influence over him.
Yeah, like Slenderman keeps influencing him and asking him or trying to command him to kill his dad, but he keeps saying no, resisting it one way or another.
Yeah, or like, and like he's constantly got like a brain fog going on, like through that time, and he's kind of just going through the motions. He can see him doing his doing actions, but he can't like there's that scene where like when he goes downstairs and like goes to the table, like he sees himself like moving his arm, but it's not his, like he's not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So like there is like those moments in the story, but then it just summarizes, oh, like some weeks went by of like this weird this nasty cycle of abuse and stuff like that, and like his his condition. And then it cuts to the nightmare sequence. Yeah, we definitely could have had some more like internal struggle with the influence there.
Yeah. overall, it was relatively easy to read, other than the few grammar issues we found, and the news report being completely stupid at the end, even though
Yeah.
we know what they're doing. They're just saying, "Oh, he's out there."
Yeah. It really did, like, I really feel like that's actually one of the biggest things that needs to be fixed in the story. Is that report? Is that news report?
Yeah. So overall, I'm only giving this a partial recommendation.
Okay. I just want a quick aside. I just thought of something that might have fixed that entire news report thing. So we get the sequence where like the mom's at her sister's house, Lori's. They're having coffee. They see on the news report, oh, there's like a murder of the 4 kids in the woods. They don't give the like how they died, because that's not something you'd report in the newspaper in the news. Like, they wouldn't give you those kind of grisly details most of the time. But they don't find the murder weapon on the in the news report. Like, they don't reference that the murder weapon was found. Instead, what we have is, as they're watching this news report of these four kids dying in the woods, there's a knock on the back door, and then when Lori or Mrs. Rogers goes to check it, they find no one there, but there's a bloodied old rusty axe or hatchet, and Mrs. Rogers maybe recognizes it as the one of her the one that her husband kept in the garage.
Why would he give that back?
Maybe just as like, I don't know, to like torment her, like maybe just, I don't know, to show that his mom in some weird twisted way that he was still alive. I don't know. I didn't think that far ahead. This just came to me, so
That's fair.
But I feel like that would be better than like that clearly wrong news report.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, because like they already have his name in the news report,
Mhm.
so you don't need to do the hatchet and everything, because if it just says that's the one that's
They're considering a suspect.
yeah, that's the suspect. So okay, cool, he's still alive.
Yeah, honestly, just clean it up so that the news report, like, they don't say that's like, oh, like they presumed he was dead after, because, or they didn't think he was dead after the initial like situation like a couple of weeks back, because they never found a body.
Yep. Here's the picture of the murder weapon. Here's the one. Here's the people that were killed. Like,
yeah.
There's a South Park joke where like the camp or the counselor for like their Boy Scouts is like basically a pedophile, and he like takes
God.
pictures of them and everything, and like on the news they're like in latest news the infamous child molester Mr. Slippy Fist has finally been caught. He's been taking pictures of little boys like this picture here, and how about this?
Oh no!
And
Yeah,
here's this
exactly.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that sick fuck. Like that's what the dude is saying on the news. And that's
On the
basically
news.
what's happening here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's again the kind of thing that the news would be like, you can get fucking fired or like a lawsuit for showing that kind of shit on news, like without censoring it in some way even.
Yeah.
But it didn't. There was no censoring.
I don't think the families of the deceased would want to know these things and see that, you know.
Yeah. Here's the murder weapon. Here's the hatchet that we believe that it was happened. By the way, the kids were brutally murdered by like bludgeoning to death by some kind of sharp object. And then they show this like horrible, like grisly, like murder weapon, the hatchet with like bits of blood and like skull fragments and brain on it.
Yeah, that's not cool.
It's that's not what we know. But yeah. All this aside, Gamer, your recommendation now.
Okay. My turn, is it?
Yeah.
Well, for me at the start, I was saying that like partial, but like sort of high on it, and I'm kind of the same. That being said, Ticci-Toby as a character, I really like, for the same reasons that we were talking about before, because he's likable, because he's not doing these things because he feels like it or just because he quote unquote snapped. He's literally being puppeted. So It's
God,
fine.
you know, I just realized he's less of a joke. So, like, if Jeff the Killer is kind of like the Joker character,
Mhm.
Ticci-Toby's might be similar to like Two-Face in a way.
Well, based on the art, yeah.
Yeah, well, not just because of the art, but because like Two-Face is sort of like he was changed because of like like a tragic situation that happened to him. Not because he was a bad guy, but he wasn't a bad guy. Like the good side of him is actually always is actually not that bad. Like in fact, he was friends with Bruce Wayne before he became Two-Face.
Well, the only bad side to Ticci-Toby is Slenderman. Like,
Yeah, and so that's the bad side. That's like
I
possessing.
guess, yeah.
That's the other like the other personality basically that's like infiltrated his mind.
Hmm. But yeah, for the character himself, and especially now that I know that there are other stories, and like through that art that you showed me, there's a progression of the character through the stories through the years, which I think is really awesome. So that much I like. It's just the first story itself, it needs a round of editing, which I'm surprised that it needs that, considering how much like not fanfare, how much like popularity it has, and how much
Yeah.
everybody likes it. You figure it would get a round of editing to fix these things,
Yeah,
and just the grammar stuff, not necessarily any things in the story that we felt is weird, just like straight up grammar, you know. Um, as we said, the art on it is kind of misleading because that doesn't show up. Like that version of Toby does not show up in this story. So if that was changed, that'd be better. But if all those things were changed, I would 100% recommend this. But I like the character enough and how the story went enough that I would still. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll still recommend it. It really does need an editing, and that fight scene that bugs the hell out of me, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah. It needs to be cleaned up to make it flow better.
Fair. Okay, so I guess 2 recommendations and a partial recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay. So do with that what you will, listeners. But that'll be this week's episode. So if you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And you can also send us messages on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah.
And I'm at Review Cultist. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. To our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. And without your authorship and posting it and your artwork for this character, like building this character, like I genuinely like Ticci-Toby might be one of my like favorite like creepypasta killer type characters, just in recent memory.
Yeah. I mean, that's a low bar, but yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, like, I mean, Jeff the Killer's not on there, obviously, but like Slender Man, like, the Rake, maybe, and I think like Ticci-Toby might even be like between the Rake and Slender Man for me when it comes to like creepypasta icons.
Nice.
So thank you for posting those things online and sharing them so that we could take a look at them and discuss them on our show. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
talking about Mr. Mom. It's a Michael Keaton movie. After he suddenly laid off, a husband switches roles with his wife. She returns to the workforce, and he becomes a stay-at-home dad. He has to take care of 3 young children. He has
Okay.
a job he has no clue how to do.
So wacky.
Right?
Fish out of water. Humor. Yeah. Tonight, Rob Schneider is
Is
Mr.
a mom.
Mr. Mom. Rated PG-13. Oh, that's going to be the outro for the episode. Like, that's what I'm going to leave at the end of the audio.
Yeah.